Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Between Friends. I'm Ashley Jones, and I will be your host today. And I have a very special guest coming up here soon. And as always, here on Between Friends, we talk all things machine embroidery and have lots of fun in the process. So sometimes some laughs, sometimes some mistakes. But all in all, we love our embroidery and we love sharing it with all of you as well. So I'm here in lieu of Eileen. Eileen, you'll see her back soon. So she's taking some time personally. So you'll see her back here next week. So I'm glad to be here with you and see what all of you guys have been up to and who we have here and where you guys are watching from. So tell us that over in the chat. So today, as always, we have something fun and exciting for you, and we have a new product reveal that we're also going to be talking about. Who doesn't love a new tool that can make your life easier, right? Well, here to help me with that new product reveal is Reen Wilcoxson of Embroidery Garden. So I'd love to have Reen join me. Hey, Reen, how are you today?
Good, Ashley. How are you?
Good, good. So I'm glad to have you here. We are going to be talking about an In the Hoop project, and they'll see the entire process of that. But I know that you have some tips for them that we're also going to be sharing as well, right?
Right. I'm so excited about today.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know about you, but I love all the gadgets, the tools, anything that can make my embroidery process, sewing, crafting, anything that can make it easier and quicker so I can do more and more are really the tools that I love to have on hand, don't you?
Oh, yes. You got to have things that make every process easier and that give you great results.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we have tons of people already joining Reen, and a lot of them I'm sure that you recognize as well. So we'll just say hello to some while we are waiting for everybody to join. So Retha Ranke is always here with us on Between Friends. So good to have you here with us, Retha. Great to see you. Mary Larson, great to see you from Santa Fe as well. And then Eileen Reichert from Maryland. So good to see you. Laura also always here with us on Between Friends and Software Success as well. You know Dawn from Creative Applique as well, and she said another day with Ashley because Reen, they've seen a lot of me this past few weeks. I've been here for Eileen and Software Success, but you and I have been together too a lot this last few weeks as well, which I absolutely love. To share the screen with you. I always learn from you, and it's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. And then I know that you know Laurie Albrecht. She's part of our education team here. And also I know that your good friend Caroline Booth is here with us. So I know that you know Caroline. So yeah, lots of people joining.
Both of us.
Yeah, absolutely. She definitely is. And boy, does Caroline make some beautiful samples as well. So love that. Love seeing what everybody has to make. So Betsy from Kansas City, Missouri. So lots of people here with us. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Our friend Joanne Banco from Let's Go Sew. Always good to see her as well. Okay, so Reen, let's talk about our project for today. So today we are talking flawless finishes, and I think that that's something that Reen really has down to a science. Everything that she makes is always pristine and looks so professional right when it comes out of the hoop. So we're going to be talking about tools for achieving those professional finishes. And then Reen, I know that you're going to talk about trimming tip that makes closing up the opening really easy. So
Right.
I know you'll share that with everyone too. And then avoiding common mistakes. Boy, I made a nasty one this time that I'm I'm not embarrassed to say because it happens to all of us,
A
but
lot of people have done it.
yes, absolutely. And we'll talk about that whenever that point comes as well. But want to make sure that we avoid some of those common mistakes so that everything goes smoothly. And then we also have a new on the house design for you guys this week, and the new product reveal, which is our most exciting thing is when something's new and you can have it, that it makes your life easier. So, right?
That's right. I can't wait to show it, and it's always great to do a new collaboration with Dime.
Yeah, for sure. And so this Reen, this will lead you right to it because this is the little bag that we're going to be talking about today. Reen and I left the face off, so it makes a cute little pumpkin bag. So you could do either. And this is a design from Reen on her website, embroiderygardens.com. And so this cute little bag, you called it Jackie, right, Reen? Is that
Yeah.
right? I love it. That's so cute. That's perfect for the jack-o'-lantern face. But the cute little pumpkin bag, I really love how it turned out even without the face. But one thing about in the hoop projects is, well, or any of our embroidery and sewing projects, when we're done, we want it to look professional. And Reen, what is your number one tip for getting a professional finish on any of your in the hoop bags?
It has to be pressing. You have to be able to press your designs while you are stitching them to,
Mhm.
get perfectly flat linings, to have things line up, to, have the stitching go where it should go.
Yeah.
If you're going to be pressing when you're doing a sewing project and you're pressing after every step, you need to be doing it when you're doing it in the hoop.
Yeah, so that it's every step is really nice and crisp because there's some areas of your project that after it's all finished stitching, you can't get to any longer, right?
That's right. So if you were doing it on a sewing machine and you were pressing after every step, you should be doing the same thing even when you're doing it in the hoop.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Really good tip. So, for this pressing, Reen, one of the biggest challenges whenever you are pressing from the back of your hoop, there's a possibility that you could dislodge your stabilizer if you're pressing too hard on the stabilizer and you've got that void between the stabilizer on the front side and your work surface. So you created a product that was the solution to this product problem. And that is this original item, right? So tell us about this.
So hoop and press pads do exactly what you just said. A lot of times in the hoop designs, you have to work on the back side of the hoop. I taught and traveled for years, and I would see people at events like going to the backside, pressing down really hard on the stabilizer, trying to get their tape to stick to hold the fabrics on. And they were, disrupting the stabilizer. Either
Right.
they were pushing it out of the hoop or they were, loosening it up enough that where, the things weren't going to line up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I kept thinking about it and thinking about it, and then finally thought of hoop and press pads, and then went to Dime with the idea,
Yeah.
and they liked it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has been like such a huge help because we've figured out that it's not just pressing that they're good for. Anytime you're working from the underside of your hoop, when you, like you said, taping, pressing, but also sometimes, unfortunately, we have to remove stitches. But also in the back of this bag, you have to trim away that the piece of stabilizer that's behind the zipper. And I find that that's also helpful at that point so that I don't dislodge my stabilizer. So they've really become a staple in our embroidery studio, and also for just kind of pressing right at your machine. It's really helpful too,
Right.
don't you think?
Oh, definitely. And you
Okay.
really have to have support underneath the hoop when you are working on the backside. That's what's going to give you, those flawless results that you look for.
Absolutely. And these hoop and press pads, we've had them out for a while for standard embroidery hoops. And all of you have been asking, what about hoop and press pads for my Snap Hoop Monster? Well, guess what? You don't have to wait any longer. So take a look at this short little video, because that is our new product today, is hoop and press pads for Snap Hoop Monster. Take a look. Ask and ye shall receive, right, Reen?
That's right.
So I think that this is something that we've all been waiting for, not just all of you, but us here at Dime too, because of course I love and use my Snap Hoop Monster regularly. But because of the difference in the height of the interior of the Snap Hoop Monster, the regular standard hoop and press pads were too tall. So we had to make one that was the exact right height to fit in the hoop. So those are available for a lot of different sizes of hoops and machine models, and I'll talk about that today as well. But these are the same great product that you've grown to love for your standard hoops, only they are sized specifically for Snap Hoop Monster. So they're going to support your embroidery when you're working from the back of your hoop and applying any kind of pressure. So that might be pressing, that might be taping, it might be applying a piece of fabric, it might be removing stitches, it might be cutting away stabilizer in a certain area. So these are wool felt, just like our others, with a non-slip backing, and they are 1/4 inch thick because they're the perfect height to fit in the interior of that hoop. Now, these hoop and press pads come with a bonus item, which is a new product for us as well. So you guys are getting, 2 new products in one. These are the StableClips, and I'm going to show you how to use these, because most of the time we're doing a project that requires a hoop and press pad with stabilizer only. Another tool that you guys have been requesting is something to make that process easier. And so we have the StableClips, and every hoop and press pad for Snap Hoop Monster comes with 4 StableClips. And so that's going to make the process easier. So what do you think, Reen? You've been using your new hoop and press pads, right, for your Snap Hoop Monster. So same
Right.
great product, right?
Yes, and those StableClips really do help you to get that stabilizer nice and tight the way that it needs to be, doesn't let it slip around. And then, of course, the new pads. And not only are they, the correct thickness, they are also the correct shape for your Snap Hoop Monsters, because some of them are a little bit different shape than the traditional hoops are.
Right, for sure. And I've got 2 of them. I'll show the standard one versus the Snap Hoop Monster under my camera. So I'm going to head over and show them the StableClips, Reen, and then after that I'll show them how to use the new hoop and press pads, and then we'll see our bag starting to stitch. So sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. So, okay, guys. So under my camera here, I've got a piece of stabilizer. So the project that we're doing today, Reen recommends using a no-show stabilizer. That's a sheer cutaway stabilizer. So that's what I'm going to be hooping. And I've got my 8x8 snap hoop monster. And so we'll be using that for the stabilizer. Now, you guys know our snap hoop monster, the top is the magnet, and that's the area that that height of the magnetic top frame is where we need to fill with our hoop and press pads. So that's why they're a bit thinner. So I'm going to separate my pieces here and just set my shield out of the way and grab my stabilizer and place that down over the base. So a lot of times what we do when we're ready to hoop, because we want to drop our frame and not pinch ourselves. So a lot of times when we do that, the stabilizer will just shift slightly and it's not smooth. Well, this stabilizer is, and you can kind of see I've got some bubbles there. So this stabilizer is cutaway, sorry. So I could pull on it. And that's perfectly fine to get it nice and snug. But if this were tearaway stabilizer, if you pull, it rips. So then you have a hard time tightening up your stabilizer. So that was the reason that we've got our StableClips here. So these clips are going to help me hoop my stabilizer. They're also great, even if you're not doing an in the hoop project, but say you've got a shirt or something that you're working with and you have to dress the hoop and your stabilizer's moving all around. These are great for that as well. Okay, so you just place your stabilizer over the base of the hoop just like you normally do. Now I usually butt mine up right to the attachment there, and these just slide over the base of the hoop. So if you leave yourself a little bit of extra, then you can just slide this right over the bottom, making sure that everything's nice and smooth as you do this. Okay, and I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to smooth out the bottom and the sides as we hoop. So get everything nice and smooth with the clips. Now the clips don't hold as snugly as the magnetic top frame. Let me adjust this one because my stabilizer's kind of shifted there. So it's easy to make adjustments. So like if you've got tearaway stabilizer, you could still make sure that these are nice and smooth before you do your hooping. But by tucking that stabilizer under when you put your clip on, it is just making sure that it's nice and taut when we put our magnetic top frame on. So really this is all you're doing is just tucking this under. Now when we go to embroider, these are going to come off before we go to the machine. So they're going to not be in the way. Okay, so just like that, everything's nice and smooth. So now what this allows me to do is put my magnetic top frame into place and then just drop it without having to worry about holding my fingers there. And then these are going to be removed. You just slide them out. There's a little notch on the underside. So if I kind of flip this over, you can see I can get my finger under there, and then I'm going to flip back, and then I can just pull that out just like that. Okay. And then you can also use this with other types of stabilizer. And like I said, if you're putting your shirt on here, whatever you're hooping, you just need to make sure you remove these before you are ready to stitch. So that's our new StableClips. How cool is that, right? So it's just going to make your life easier, a nice little extra. And they actually come with every purchase of the hoop and press pad for Snap Hoop Monster. Okay, so let me talk about the two different ones here. And I'm going to slide these out of the way. So just like Reen said, these are sized and created based on the shape of your hoop. So here's my standard 8x8, okay? And this is my standard hoop and press pad. So these, you can see the edges are kind of curved in because of the curves of our hoop here. Whereas our Snap Hoop Monster is squared off. So these are the perfect shape. Now, they don't exactly go all the way to the edge, but you don't need to. You're really just supporting as you're pressing from the underside of your hoop. So to use either one of these, you're really just flipping it upside down so you can work from the back of the hoop. Now, there's one difference with the hoop and press pad for Snap Hoop Monster. And so let me grab my totally tubular hooping station to show you that. Okay. Now, because this is my totally tubular hooping station, you do not have to use this. I'm using it as a to represent the edge of my table. Now, because our snap hoop monster is thinner, because we've got that flat metal base and our magnetic top is flat, it is overall thinner than our standard hoops. It's also thinner than the actual attachment, okay? So if I'm going to use my hoop and press pad, and I flip this over to the back here, I still have a little bit of space between my stabilizer and the pad because of the attachment. So to use these, you just want to hang this off the edge of your table. And then Reen actually has another tip for you if you don't have to, so you don't have to hang it off the edge of your table. So then I get that good flat surface. So what we are using this for is, when we have to put stabilizer put fabric or iron from the back. So here's the lining fabric, and so that's going to end up like that. So I'm going to flip that over just like that. When you're applying this, it's always a good idea to have tape kind of hold it in place so that when you get to your embroidery machine, it doesn't shift or bunch up under your machine. Okay, so when you're putting tape on the back, I can press down as hard as I need to make sure the tape is adhered, because my hoop and press pad is filling up that empty space. And so I'm not going to dislodge my stabilizer, because we know if we accidentally shift our stabilizer, then our design may not line up. And then of course, from the front, you're just going to remove that and then just do your normal taping here. And then this a little less taping, because of course, whenever we go to our machine, we don't have to worry about that bunching up since it's in the top of our hoop. So pretty easy, right? Okay. And so now, if you haven't ever done an in the hoop bag, usually the zipper is the first thing that stitches. It'll give you a placement stitch, and then you'll put your zipper down, and then you'll get the tack down, and then you'll apply your fabric, and then it's going to tack that down, and we're going to flip that out. And then we would have to press from the back of our hoop. Okay, so let's talk about this bag stitching out. So we've already mentioned all of these things, right, Reen? So pressing from the back, even tabletop pressing, like next to your machine, and doing any ripping, which we don't like to admit that we have to do sometimes, and but it happens to the best of us. So Reen, I recorded my bag stitching out so that they could see the initial process, and then you're going to carry them through the end, right?
Right.
Okay, so you can see I have my zipper much longer than the design, so that my zipper pull and my zipper stop are out of the way. And then over at my work surface, I used my same totally tubular hooping station so that my attachment was hanging off the edge there. And then I'm taping from the back to make sure that that's nice and adhered. And then my front piece here, the same thing, I just tape that into position. And then we're ready to head back to the embroidery machine to tack that down. Now, this part is like super quick because it's just one seam that's going to stitch that down just like that. And now we're ready to put either the batting or the foam. Now, I use Dime's a Sew Any Shape foam, and it gives a really nice sturdiness to the bag that we're making. So I just make sure I tape that in place so it's good and tight against my seam there. And then the next stitch is just the top stitch there, and it also attaches the foam to the bag. And you can see my underside of my bag there, the top lining piece is still not flipped up. Okay, so now I just remove my tape here. I probably could have left that in place so it wasn't going to get stitched over, but I removed it because then I always reuse my pieces. So okay, so from the back here, I need to flip up this piece. And then, as Reen said, pressing while it is in this stage is a very important step to making sure that it looks great in the end. And then while I was on the back, I went ahead and also attached the bottom piece of the lining. So as my hoop and press pad was in place, then we're going to attach the front here. And I just did a few little pieces there to hold it in place. And then again, this part is just the seam. So it just attaches the fabric to the zipper, making my seam. I remove my tape, and I just place this foam right into position while I was at the hoop, and just kind of taped that to hold that down. And now we get that top stitch again, and then it makes the detail of the bag. This is one of the reasons that I like this sew any shape foam. You can really see the detail in the bag too, because it kind of makes it puff up, right?
Right. I love the structure that it gives bags.
Yeah, it absolutely does. They're not no more floppy bags with sew any shape foam. So, okay, so and from here, that is as far as I stitched, and then Reen is going to take it from here for the rest of the stitching. So, Reen, what have you got next for us? What's our next step after stitching that?
Okay, well, after you had stitched that, the next thing would actually be to stitch the face if you wanted to stitch the face. You can see that I actually used HTV glitter, heat transfer vinyl, black glitter on mine. You could use fabric. You would use, like the Fuse Me product, the fusible on the back side, and it ends up with a blanket stitch. On my sample today, though, I'm not going to be putting the face on there. So I'm going to pick it up where after the face would be stitched. So this is how it would look now at this point, just like this. This is where Ashley stopped after she stitched the little lines in the pumpkin. So at this point, we would go to the back side of the hoop. So of course, I want to use my hoop and press pad for the Snap Hoop Monster because I am stitching mine in a Snap Hoop Monster. So I'm going to turn it over. Now, again, since I don't have, the edge of the table because my camera won't reach that far, I'm just going to put another pad that I have here. It's a standard pad, but I'm just going to slip it underneath so that it keeps the part that hooks onto the machine. It's lifted up some. So my Snap Hoop Monster pad is perfectly aligned underneath here. So now at this point, you would go to the back side and you would take that lining piece and fold it down. And this is where, let's talk about something else. Had I stitched the face on, the applique, you would want to press at this point. And why would you want to press your applique at this point? It's because the fusible would be face up here, and when you press it on the back side, you are activating the steam. The steam is activating your fusible for your, Fuse Me on your fabric, or if you have heat transfer vinyl you wanted to use, it activates that adhesive and the iron draws it up, giving you a really nice bond on your base fabric. So that's another use for hoop and press pads, are to create beautiful appliques. So after this point, this piece would come down. This is a lining piece. Get it nice and smooth. And here is where you want to press. You're going to make a nice crisp fold here. And this is what's going to make your lining look really beautiful inside. At this point, too, you also want to get rid of this piece of stabilizer here. The zipper is underneath this piece of stabilizer, and if you don't remove it now, it's going to be really hard to remove it when the bag is done. So I like to turn mine a little bit. It's easier for me to trim this way. But with the pad underneath here, I could take my scissors, and I like to use small scissors with a small tip that's curved and they're sharp, and I could poke it down into that stabilizer. And with the pad underneath here, I can judge and know that I'm not going too far and going to, cut my zipper accidentally. And really, when I do this, I don't have to take the scissors and clip. I could just put the scissors in here and then run the edge right along the fabric and get that piece of stabilizer out so that I have access to the inside of my bag when I'm done with it. After this step, we're ready to go back to the front side of the hoop. And at this point, it's going to stitch just a small little placement here for you to put, a tab on if you wanted to attach hardware or something like that. So I'm going to go over to the machine. I'm making sure that my fabric on the back has not moved. I didn't tape it down. Actually, I should have, but I'm going to be a rebel.
On live TV is not the time to be a rebel.
Right. I kind of just, I didn't have my tape handy, but so that, again, this is just the placement for that tab. And all I'm using is I'm going to use a piece of cork, and I kind of have a wide piece right now that I'm going to use. I fold it in half. This is creating that tab. Center it over that placement, and I'll just hold it down and let it kind of just tack it in place a little bit. My bag is actually going to be used for one of my grandson's Halloween bags, where, you know, we get him little presents and things, and it's going to hold some candy for him. So now that after this is done, we are going to unzip the zipper halfway. I think this is where Ashley ran into a problem.
Yep, that was me today. I forgot to unzip my zipper, and that just caused some extra work for me. But I was able to finish it. Just had to do some ripping. Thank goodness I had my hoop and press pads for my ripping.
Yes, that is another thing that they are great for, because you want to fill that void underneath the hoop so that you can actually use the tool to press down on to remove those stitches.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now I just took the last, well, it's not really the last piece of fabric, but the next piece of fabric, which forms the back side of the bag. It goes right side down over the hoop. And I am using a piece of so-any shape foam. And I'm going to show you the structure that you get after you use this. The next step is just going to kind of attach this right here at the top. And then we only have one more piece of fabric after this. And I'm watching this stitch. You know, when you use the foam, some of you may have to raise your foot up. I never have to raise my foot up, though, when I use it. But if you notice that maybe it's pushing the foam, you're getting what they call snow plowing, then you might want to raise your foot. And then we're going to go to the back side again. So I'm going to turn my hoop and press pad over. I'm sorry, my hoop over top of my hoop and press pad. I am going to take the time now to tape this down when I didn't before. And again, another great use for hoop and press pads. No matter what kind of tape you use, you have to be able to press it down well. That's what's going to make the tape adhere. And that's what the pad does underneath. It's filling that void up underneath the hoop so that you are able to press down and not disturb the stabilizer. The last step is to take the last piece of fabric, which is actually a lining piece, and place it right side down over the back side of the hoop. And then again, you're going to tape this down. Make sure everything is nice and smoothed out. You don't want any wrinkles in your lining. Let me get one more piece here. And now I'm ready to go back to the machine and stitch the next step. I saw Colleen is asking, do I have to raise the foot? I'm not going to raise the foot on mine. I've done enough of the bags where I haven't found that I've had to raise the foot. Some machines you may have to.
Right. And I think it does depend on the machine, and because I did have to raise it. I didn't have to raise it on the first layers, but this last layer of the foam, because it's stitching, you know, those two layers, mine did start to buckle, and so I did raise my foot just a smidge. So, but yeah, yours is like doing great.
And so this last step, all it does is stitch around, and it's leaving an opening there at the top where it did that previous step.
Yeah. And so here, Reen, like as it's stitching, you know, if you see that snow plow that Reen was talking about, you would see it by now.
Right.
And I just stopped my machine, and then I went into my settings, and then I just raised my presser foot height. I just did two like settings up, and then I just watch it, check it, and then make sure that it's fine. And that's actually all I had to do. It almost would have done it without raising it. But I think that every machine is like, you know, us human beings. Every one of them is different, right?
Right. Just you will notice if it's doing it. So,
Yeah.
all right. So now the design is done. We're ready to take it out of the hoop, get back over here to the table. One thing that I like to do always before I remove anything from the hoop is check the back side. I don't know how many times, like something will happen. Maybe your fabric is flipped up when you were stitching. And so I've trained myself now to check the back side before I remove it from the hoop.
That's a really good tip too.
But then now it's time to trim. I'm just going to set this aside. One thing I do want to show you is, I use the foam on both of these bags. And
Yes,
look,
so
look what
nice.
structure you have. If I would have used batting and I held them like this, they would be like bending over, flopping over.
Right. Pretty
And
cool.
so I love the foam. I use it for so many different things. So now the design comes out of the hoop. And I'm going to show you one that I've already trimmed because I don't think you wanted to sit here and watch me trim. But what I would do, let me just bring this back over here. The first thing I would do, and I usually leave it in the hoop when I do this step, is I trim my foam close to the stitching all the way around. So I would just lift it up and basically just start trimming it away, just like that, very close. What that does is it gets the bulk of the foam or the batting out of your seams. So it's going to make this bag round out really well. These have corners. I mean, they're not real sharp corners, but it does have a corner here at the top on both sides. And taking that foam out of there is going to really make those push out nicely. You're going to notice that I did not trim my zippers all the way, close at 1/4 inch. I left them a little bit longer. And to me, when you leave them longer, it makes them stronger. That's what I always said in class when I was teaching. Um, a lot of times, if you have a finished bag and you are, zipping, unzipping the bag a lot, you might notice some pulling at the seam. So that's why I leave my zippers longer. You also notice that I kind of pinked the edge. You don't have to use pinking shears, but if you didn't, you want to make sure that you clip maybe about every 1/2 inch around so that when you turn this to the right side, it really helps to round out the corners and it gives you a really nice shape. So if you see this one, you can see what a really nice shape the bag has. So that's what all the clipping would do. Let's see, another tip is when you are at the opening, you're going to notice you have a lot of layers of fabric up here. You only need the 2 layers that make up the opening, and it's the lining pieces. Here's one, here's the other one. Everything back here is bulk, so I can cut that down to my 1/4 inch. Now, remember I've got my little tab in here. I don't want to cut the tab short. Again, if you, put it on like a little lanyard like I did on this one, you're going in and out of your bag, you're pulling on this, leave it longer, it makes it stronger. That's
It's a
why
nice little rhyme
right, that's why I
to
don't
help you
want to cut
remember.
it. Yeah, because if you cut it short and you're pulling and pulling on your bag, you're gonna have a tendency to pull out. So I am just cutting this bulk away here in front of the tab. And then I'll just like pull it out of the way and I'll finish cutting the rest of it back here. So now all I have is my opening longer. You want to leave the opening longer because you have to turn this in to cover up your opening. So now it's time to turn it. A couple of tips on turning. When you reach in to turn something, don't reach into a corner, that's directly near your opening. You want to go to either of the further areas of the bag, whether they're corners or this one's round, but you want to go to a further corner. A lot of times too, people think using foam is going to make the bag harder to turn, and that's not true. In some instances, I think it may even make the bag easier to turn. And let me just get it started here. And so you're going to turn it through the opening. And to me, this is probably one of the most awkward things to do on camera.
But it's a really good demonstration with the foam. Like you said, people think that it's going to be too hard to turn. And,
Right.
even though, like you said, it's kind of awkward, but it turned really easy with that so-any shape foam.
Right. And you can see already how nicely it's rounding out. I'll take, I got a little chopstick here, and I'll use it to get the corners poked out. Let me just kind of use my fingers first. But see how nice the corners look? And I think what happens is when you turn it, the foam kind of, I don't know, it kind of fills in the little void, and it makes the corners look nice. Every time I've done a bag with the foam, my corners look absolutely great.
Yeah.
So then all you're going to do is turn your opening, those raw edges in on both sides. And if you wanted, you could use a fusible tape. But first, make sure you take the time to get them lined up. And, I would get this stitch line here. It would be not where you could see it, but you would just either use the fusible tape here or quickly hand stitch it closed. Doesn't matter. A lot of people worry about their hand stitching, thinking, oh, I don't hand stitch well. Well, nobody's even going to see this.
Yeah, it's in the inside. But like you said, a fusible web, I just used our Fuse Me, the same product that you talked about prepping the back of the applique fabric. I just use a little bitty piece of that to close the opening, and then I don't have to do any hand sewing.
And on this particular bag, the way I designed it, I put the opening up here at the top on the straight edge, because who wants to try to close an opening on the round edge anywhere?
Yeah, good thinking for sure. And so we did have a question. Carrie M. Cunningham said that should you trim the foam when you're using it in a tote or other bags that are not in the hoop? And I think that, to me, that is definitely a good practice to trim maybe one part of it away. Notice that Reen she's got 2 layers of foam that she's stitching to, because the front of the bag and the back of the bag, and her seams are flat. So if you trimmed out one of those, then you've got a little less bulk. But she did leave one layer of the foam still in the seam, and that's perfectly fine. But it'll just reduce the bulk a little bit.
Right. Just any amount of bulk you can get rid of. This is that other layer. This is the foam that was placed underneath the main fabrics that make up the front and the back of the bag. You can't really get to that,
Yeah.
but just trimming off.
Yeah, but it doesn't add it. Just having that one side removed, it still is nice and smooth around the edges.
Right. This helps immensely, just taking off one. And no matter if you use foam or if you use batting, you're going to want to take that off. So again, you would take the time to close your opening. Then all you do is get that zipper all the way opened, reach down inside the bag, and then turn it
inside out. And so, Reen, while you're turning, so Claire asked about did you stitch over your metal zipper? So do you want to talk about your zipper?
Okay, the zippers, and you can tell, this is how it would be done. You'd round it out, get your corners poked out nicely again, and then the little bag is done. Again, I put a big tab on here because our grandson, he's 4. I'm sure he's going to be taking this thing and swinging it all around with the candy in there. But yeah, these zippers, and I know they look like they're metal. All of the ones that I used look like they're metal, but they're not. These are what they call faux metal zippers. They are shiny, but they are nylon. You would never, ever, ever use a metal zipper in the hoop design, because you cannot stitch over it, and you have to stitch across it. And you would never, ever use a invisible zipper, because they have those big ridges in them. And if you stitched over, the ends of those, you're more likely you're going to break a needle or, do some kind of damage.
Right. And I just used a regular number 3 zipper that I just buy a whole bunch of them when they're on sale. And I just did an orange one to match my little pumpkin. So as long as it's a nylon zipper, right, and not
Right.
individual is what you're looking for. And pay attention to the size of the zipper too. So the instructions will tell you number 3, number 5.
I
And
love that
then,
you used the little print on that. I think,
yeah,
all kinds of fall prints would look great on this bag. Then you can use it, past Halloween, if you didn't
Halloween,
make a
yeah.
jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, and that's kind of was my thought too. So, and then Natalie Bush says she's late to the party. So, what's the foam that we're talking about? It's Dime's Sew Any Shape foam. It's a embroidery friendly foam that is great for bags, placemats. If you need a little more rigidity, more than batting, you can use it in your embroidery projects. So, and we had a few other questions too, Reen, that I wanted to kind of just go. I'm going back here. So Tracy Edwards said hoop and press pads for Snap Hoop Monster. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I definitely agree. We're excited about that. So love my hoop pads, Pat Dunn said. And then Joanne Banco said that she's seen the boo-boos that occur by having hoops in your laps or in the air. Yeah, for sure. And so I didn't even have any of that going on and still made a boo-boo. So and then Caroline says, yay, so excited of having the hoop and press pads for magnetic hoops. I totally agree. And Joanne Banco said she likes the square snap hoop monster. So great for your quilting projects, in which Laurie Albrecht said the same thing. So the hoop and press pads for using with My Block Piecer, which is Dime software that helps you create a piece in the hoop project. So, and then we had some StableClip lovers. So if you are late to the game, go back and watch. So I showed how to use these new StableClips to hold your stabilizer in place on your Snap Hoop Monster while you're hooping. So make sure you head back and check that out. And then S. Mont said that I already have the pressing pads. Can you purchase the clips separately? Yes, you sure can. So the hoop and press pads for Snap Hoop Monster come with the hoop clips. So when you purchase any of the hoop and press pads for Snap Hoop Monster, you'll get a package of these, even the single or the bundles. But if you just want the clips, you can buy those separately as well. So we do have those separate. So love those clips so much, Retha Ranky says. So thank you. And then Helen says, will the hoop and press pads work for sticky hoops? They do not. So sticky hoop is really like even flatter than our Snap Hoop Monster. And so I really feel like you could just turn this over on your flat surface, because sticky hoop is already a flat metal hoop. So then you would just turn that over on your table, and probably need to hang the edge off of your table, because you can see how that extends past the edge of my sticky hoop there. So, I'm trying to think of an instance. I guess I don't use my sticky hoop for things that I would need to go from the back. So, because I was trying to think of an example, but I can't think of one. And I don't want to be trying to think on camera, because that's
You wouldn't
difficult.
want to press, though, that adhesive, would you? Your mat would be underneath
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
I might be a little afraid that I would, get that stuck to the mat or something, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. And so because you would need to put something for the heat. And then, but if your project is in there, you still can press your hoop and press pad. But really, this hoop is just flat. So it doesn't need a particular pad height, is I think what I meant. So that's what I was trying to say. See, that's what I get for trying to think on camera. So shouldn't try to think live. So, and then I thought there was another question. I was just looking through to see if we had another question.
I
Maybe
see
that may have
one
been it.
from A. Reichert.
Okay.
Who is
From Eileen. What does Eileen say?
she's looking at the bundle sizes, and would the 8x12 be okay for a 9.5x14 hoop? I
So
would get the
go ahead.
9.5x14 for the 9.5x14 hoop. Otherwise, the edges aren't going to be supported. It's just not enough room, I don't think.
Yeah, because you don't want the very center, and then you still could dislodge it along the edges. So that's another really good point for sure. And so let's go back over to my PowerPoint here, and I will talk about the different sizes and the different machines. Now, we get this question all the time, like, do we have them for this brand and this other brand? We do have them for all of these brands that you see here. And just because they are listed by a brand, it doesn't mean that it might not work for a particular hoop that you have. On our website, we do list the actual dimensions of the pad itself. So if you're trying to fit this in a particular hoop, then you can measure the interior of your hoop. And so that is an option too. But because these are the brands that we make Snap Hoop Monster for, then we have all of these for our Snap Hoop Monster sizes for the hoop and press pad. So here's what we have. Now this is a long list. Now you can always go back and rewatch this presentation and pause right here. But really what I was trying to convey here is hoop and press pads for Snap Hoop Monster. We do have single sizes and we have a size for every size Snap Hoop Monster that we make that fits a brother or a baby lock embroidery machine. But we've also put together some bundles just to make the buying process easier. And so you can see the bundles listed, and you don't have to remember this. When you go to the website or whenever you talk to your local elite dealer that would have these in stock already, they'll know the bundles, which bundles, things like that. So you don't have to memorize all of this. But I just wanted to point out that we do have different bundles so that if there are several of them that you want to buy, that might be the easiest way to get them. And so like the bundle that's the 4-piece bundle, the 5x7, 6x10, 8x8, and 8x12. Like if you have all 4 of those hoops, it's easier just to add to cart to get all of those. Now the multi-needle bundle there, that second option, which is the 3-piece, the 5x7, 8x8, and the 8x12, you might have to stack a couple of pads to use with your Snap Hoop Monster because of the way that the arms or the attachment to the frame is. And I'm actually going to show that under my camera. I'll head over and show that here in just a minute. But just pay attention to the bundles, because sometimes when we bundle things, you'll get extra savings. So if you were already looking at buying 2 of them, and say you don't have an 8x12 hoop, but the price is really good, your 8x12 pad could be the one that you put next to your sewing machine or your embroidery machine to do pressing, right next to your machine. So and then here's the sizes that we have for FOF and Viking. Those 4 hoop sizes we have hoop and press pads for, and then the bundle includes the 200 by 260 and the 200 by 360 sizes. And then Janome, we've got several different options for the individual pads here, and then we've got 2 different bundles. Make sure you pay attention here to these bundles, because the bundle for the M17, the 5x7 is actually 5.5 by 7.9. So it's a little bit bigger hoop than the normal 5x7. So just pay attention. And like I said, all the measurements of these are listed if you want to just verify and double check. And then here are our options for Bernina hoop and press pads as well. So we've got that list there, and then the bundle, what it includes. So make sure you check out all of those while they are on our special item today. So you're going to get a really good deal, and you guys will be the first ones to get them. And so Reen, let me head over and show them our Snap Hoop Monster for multi-needle, and how you would do these a little bit differently. So I don't know if you guys know, but Dime does make snap hoops for multi-needle embroidery machines. So brother and baby lock machines, the standard hoop looks very much like this, only ours is the magnet in the center. So here's the deal. Because of this ledge here and the way that it attaches to the frame on your machine, when you have your magnet on top, because multi-needle hoops, the magnet can go on top or underneath depending on the project that you're working on, you will need to stack at least one extra size that's a little bit longer. So this is the a little bit longer, you can see there. So now it's raised it to a height that these arms are not going to affect that pressing. So let me show you what I mean. So if I flip this over, because these arms, and you can see that they kind of move here, I still have a little bit of space under because my pad is on the table, and these parts of my hoop here is making my hoop raise higher than that. So if I just simply put one other pad underneath, just like you see here, it lifts it up high enough that now I've got that surface that I can press against. Okay. Now, just to make things even more complicated, I don't want to do that, but I want to make sure that you guys understand. So I'm going to take this magnetic top frame off, and boy, it's such a tight grip whenever it's just stabilizer. So here's a tip. If you slide it to kind of break that connection a little bit, then you can lift that magnet. Okay. Now with Snap Hoop Monster, the magnet can actually go underneath as well. So I'm going to turn my magnet upside down, put my stabilizer over that, and then take the metal top, and then it just magnetizes. Now I can use my clips, my hoop clips with this as well, to make sure that's nice and taut, especially tearaway stabilizer, because when you pull on that, it'll rip. Okay, so now my magnet is underneath. So now I've got the exact right distance for this hoop and press pad, okay? And in this instance, this is the top of my hoop. Okay, so I would use this whenever I was working from the top of the hoop to help fill that space underneath. So Snap Hoop Monster for multi-needle, the magnet can go on top or bottom. So just making sure that you've got that void filled when you're doing any pressing from your stabilizer is what you'll need to do there. So hopefully that helps and makes sense. So what do you think, Reen? Any other tips on that?
You know, when you mentioned pressing from the front side of the hoop too, yeah, I do that also. And you know, you need something underneath there. When you fold those fabrics on the front side of the hoop, I always press them, the ones that are along the zipper, because you want everything to be nice and crisp and look great when it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of doing an in the hoop project, Susie Q says she hasn't tried in the hoop yet. She's intrigued. This could be my first, she said. So
you've got to try it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And you know, Susie, it's not just the bag. There's lots of in the hoop embroidery projects that think of a sewing project, but your embroidery machine does all of the sewing for you. You're just placing the fabric and it's doing the stitching. And the thing I like about it, Reen, is it comes out perfect every single time, right? Well, if you don't mess it up, but the stitch lines are perfect.
Right. And then using the hoop and press pads, it makes it just better.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And then Sandra Carroll said, thanks for showing the multi-needle snap hoop. I know we don't show it enough. And I do have a multi-needle and I use it regularly. And so I really should use it more, but my camera is set up near my single needle. So I tend to video and record over there as well. So, and then Vanessa said, I have that hoop. I can't seem to get it figured out though. Only thing I've managed to hoop is my fingers. So we don't want that, Vanessa. And so using these stable clips, that's actually a really good point here. So with your Snap Hoop Monster, if you just drop the top frame, don't try to lower it because that's when you'll get your fingers pinched in there. So you really just want to get the stabilizer in place and then just drop the magnet as close as you can. And these stable clips really do help with that process because it'll hold your stabilizer so that when you drop that magnetic top frame that it doesn't shift. And just as I mentioned, you get a bonus set with any of the hoop and press pads for Snap Hoop Monster that you purchase, but you can also buy them individually. So make sure you take advantage of those also for today. So I was just looking here quickly to see if we have any other questions that maybe popped up. I'm not seeing any immediately. So if you have questions, make sure you're asking. Reen and I are happy to answer for you. But today, because of the new product reveal, the hoop and press pads are also our special item for today. And so they are on special price. So make sure you take advantage of that to get the best price possible on your new hoop and press pads for Snap Hoop Monster. Now, even though you can purchase from our sites, we do have some elite dealers across the U.S. that have our products already in their store waiting for when we announce it, that you can come right in and take advantage of those new products. So let's take a look at this video of all of our elite dealers throughout the country. So that's awesome. That's a huge selection of dealers. Now, that's not every dealer that carries a dime product, but we do have those elite dealers that get that product in before we announce it so that it's waiting on you. But that doesn't mean that that's all of the dealers out there. So you might have another that's near you. Okay, so I always like to announce something free too, and that is our on the house design. Every single week, we announce a new design that you can download for free from our website, dzgns.com. And if you do download them and use them, we would love it if you would share what you make with your free design using the hashtags dime sew along, hashtag on the house, or hashtag exquisite thread. So when you share on social media, put those hashtags in your post. That will allow us to locate your project that you've posted a picture of, and we like to include it in our on the house reel. So take a look at this video of what everyone has been making with their on the house designs. Wow, such cute projects for sure. So, Reen, are you ready to see what this week's on the house design is?
Yes, bring it on.
Oh, I went too quickly. Oh, so this week's on the house design is this cute little freestanding lace bat. So this design was stitched with our King Star metallic thread. One color, very easy to stitch on your sew and wash stabilizer, and you've got a freestanding little design. You can apply this to many different projects to add an extra embellishment. And you guys saw a little glimpse. So as I was on social media this last week, Reen did not know what this design was, but I just happened to see this picture where Reen, you made this cute little headband. So tell us about that, Reen.
So I use my lace maker. The bat artwork is built in, and basically all I had to do was open up the artwork,
Love
make it
it.
the size I wanted it to be, and I clicked on it, and it put the grid in, and it put the outline around it, and I stitched them out.
I
And then I
love
just kind of
that.
wired them to an old headband I had,
Yeah.
and, I don't know, it was a fun little project.
That is perfect. And that just so happens to be a great project for this week. So you can see this cute little bat would make a great little headband like Reen made there. So I just love that. As soon as I saw it, Reen, I know you didn't know what this week's design was, but at that point I did. And I just thought it was very fitting. So you always do such cute and fun stuff too with your embroidery. So thank you for letting me share that with everyone. So, okay, guys. So next week, Eileen will be back from her vacation. So she'll be back here with you on Between Friends. So make sure you check her out. She always has something fun and exciting in store for you. So she'll be back. So, and then this entire month of October is a Monster Mash, which means that you get special pricing on any of our Snap Hoop Monster multi-needle or single needle embroidery hoops. So check that out. And as I said, today, the Hoop and Press Pads for Snap Hoop Monster is our sponsor for this particular Between Friends episode. So you can get those on special as well. So take advantage of all of that while it's available. And so, Reen, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on Between Friends today. It's always fun, and I always learn a ton, and I'm always inspired by you as well. So thank you for
Oh,
being
thanks,
here.
Ashley. I'm
Yeah.
always, excited to be on Dime with you or Eileen or anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we really appreciate you and all of your support for us here at Dime. So, okay, guys, until another Between Friends, Reen and I will say bye for now. Thank you all for being here.
Bye.